Jay, how you feel about all these comments and questions about this BMF shit? Who was getting more? Who was doing more? Who was pushing more?
Oh, you know what? Before I let my brother get at it, I want to say something. Like when it comes to Big Meech and Terry, right? For sure, I think that for the culture, for that era, especially in hip hop, like they were the man, right? They put like BMF on the map with all the shit they were doing. Like I started hearing about them like in 2001, and they did things like in a big way uh, for the hip hop culture, right? But I feel like that was their stamp, right? That's what they wanted to do. Um, and for sure, I think it's gonna go down in history as like one of the most known drug trafficking organizations. As
Super
far as like,
influential.
yeah, super influential. I think that when there's no competition when it comes to who had the most influence or who was probably the most known. Um, when it comes to Big Meech and Terry and BMF, for sure they have that title, you know. But in terms when it comes to actual business, I really like, with all due respect to them, I feel like we're on another level, you know, for sure. By far. I think that for those people who actually know the business, like look, a couple of my guys were, you know what I'm saying, actually were you know, a part of their crew and back and forth, but as far as just on our own, us standing alone, I think there's no competition. Just in the coolest way, right? I respect that they didn't tell that they were for the culture, what they did for the music business, right? Me being a part of it, they're like the biggest thing ever, right? And I used to have these conversations with people in prison all the time, and I used to always say like, you know what? When it comes to the business, right? I really believe that Big Meech and Terry, if they keep it real or they keep it 100, that they would say it on their own. That you know, us and them, when it comes in it, when it comes down to it, that they were like we're at that high drug trafficking level, but in reality, like we never had a middleman. You know, um, basically, I respect them. I respect their culture and what they did for actually the culture, right? But we're just on a different level.
Is it likely that work that went through y'all hands ended up over there?
Well, from my understanding, the people they actually dealt with, like me being at that like level, a couple of the associates that were actually part of the organization actually served them through someone else. So just imagine, my brother and I were at that, um, level, and
In
then
other
they had,
words, you want to say like if they're the plug at the time, then we're the plug's plug. You know?
yeah, for sure.
I mean, no, yeah. I mean, what they've done with like the music stuff and putting their name out there. I mean, they got number one there. They remind me of like Nicky Barnes, and back in the day, he's in the cover of the magazine. I don't think that gets you very far because at the end of the day, it's about staying free and making money, and that wasn't our thing. I mean, you have to have a certain point of like showing off and let people like know you got it because you're still out there, like your calling card. But at the same time, like it could get ridiculous, like some of the stuff they were doing was outrageous. Like,
I
and
think, yeah, that's for sure. I think that they did overdid it when it came to. I think that's always about power, and I think they could have caught up. Where, as a matter of fact, if you guys watch the documentary, I don't know them personally, but they got too caught up in the life, and I think for sure Meach did, and he spent too much time, you know, I think, and energy making sure everyone knew, the whole world knew about him, which he did a great job because he succeeded in that. But I think my brother and I weren't about, who knew us. I think we were more about like, you know, getting it and being out there. And if people find out who we were, it was only because of what we actually did, not because we actually promoted it.
in the long run, it's about getting money. I mean, that's why we get in the business. And you think about it, like I don't have to show it off to everybody. You get to a certain point where it wasn't like, let me show you my car. Let me show you how many cars I got.
No, right.
Once you get to a certain level, you're like, whatever, man. I don't even have to bring no cars. I'll be in my fucking Jeep and feel good. And I mean, I didn't agree with a lot of the stuff that, it's just not my thing to be like just out there just to be out there, And I remember watching that video, was it like in 2005, right around the time they got indicted? I remember it was LimeWire or something like that. And someone was like, hey, put it on, look for LimeWire. And I remember watching him say, in that video where he's saying, ain't nobody got a crew like that. And I'm just thinking to myself, you don't understand America. You don't understand the business and how huge it is. Atlanta's a small place. It probably has around 1 million people living in it today. Imagine, 20 years ago in a
I
city
think it
like
was
Chicago.
500,000. I think it was 500,000 people in Atlanta
I'm
for
saying
sure.
when I think that my brother and I could easily say we were pushing over 80% of the coke in the city of Chicago, in a big ass city like that, with tentacles that go everywhere. And I did, like, I remember people telling me about BMF, and I was just like, okay, whatever, let them get their money wherever they're getting it, And for me, like the McDonald's situation, consistency always wins, at product, and we always make sure we had the best shit and make sure it kept coming, And we didn't have no breaks, we didn't have no, I ain't got it moments. We kept that line going, from you know early 2000s all the way through, and that matters, And when they weren't bringing it, my brother and I decided to, get our own trucks, get on the road, and go get it ourselves. I mean, there's just a huge
I
difference. I
just
see that
think
there.
I think for the culture, especially for the like hip hop culture, they're considered to be like the top dogs. But when it comes to business, like um, I don't even think there's like even a argument. Like when our history, you guys cover our stories. Like we were dealing with the biggest drug lords in the
Yeah,
world.
numbers are numbers.
I mean, that tells you alone. Like we were the ones dealing with the biggest drug lords in the world. The biggest drug lords in the world, like, look for us, right? Um, to do business with. So I think that's self-explanatory for sure.
I feel like it's safe to say that the same way you two guys are smart enough that you guys would have thrived in anything that you were able to do in life. I think Meech in the same breath is like a marketing genius. If that guy would have just been legit in the music business, he could have done a lot of big things.
Yeah. You know what? Me and my brother talked about that a lot, about the Big Meat situation, and it's sad because, he spent, he's been in prison. That, shouts out to him and his family, and it's just crazy because you kind of like do everything in your power. Like he didn't care about the money, he didn't care about, what he had. What he cared about was for the world to know who Big Meat was, right? And I think he got caught up in that. And for us, it's like you guys know about us because of what we did, or the business, or because we cooperated, or whatever the case is. But we never took our eye off the ball. It was always about business. It was always about money.
Felix Reyes said y'all had 10 Meeches on the team.
It does feel like that when people say that. I'm not lying to you, man. I had like a monster squad. I felt like I had the dream team of street dudes, you know. And for my brother and I, it was not only about finding them; it was about building them up. We started with people giving them, you know, 5 birds at a time. Like, here, take your time. Do your thing. Don't do something out the ordinary. Like, kind of like just to grow, like, naturally. Just you'll get there. And next, you giving them 100 birds at a time. And and then branching out to different places, that was always big for us. And when you're out there, hitting the road is kind of like scary.
So yeah, you
But
basically get
just
their feet wet and ease them into the game.
different levels to it. That's for sure. I feel like we started off in the pros in a way. Like a Kobe.
Yeah.
Straight to the pros, and trying to stay there was hard.
Y'all didn't skip just college. Y'all skipped grammar school,
Mm.
grade school. Y'all went straight to the game.
Going back to BMF stuff, right? Um, I talked to 50 about it, right? And I know that people love to hear about this shit, like the comparison, and I'm sure he's gonna have a lot to say. But um, I think that it just, who we are. I think as individuals is just very different. And I think that for America, for sure, especially for the you know African American culture, right? I think that BMF was like, the top of what they consider to be, successful. And I think for us, I think we were always like, okay, cool, they're doing it great, but that's not something we want, I think we were more about always, uh, the business aspect of it and what we were actually doing for us and our crew. And people asked that. My brother one time mentioned that we had 10 big meets in our crew. And I really feel like we did, our guys were all about business, who were doing it for a very long time. And weren't probably as loud as Big Meech, but we're actually getting it probably just the same way. And I know it's hard for people to believe that, but it's like it's the truth. And I talked to 50 about it, and 50's always like, I get it, and but people just all they know is Big Meech. But hopefully with our story and everything we have actually worked that we're actually working on it, people are gonna get a bigger idea and onto what it is. Again, BMF has an amazing story, right? I watched their show on Stars as well. They had a long run, and for sure they had an impact on pop culture, on the hip hop culture, right? But at the end, it's just another testament of what happens when someone makes it big in the drug game.
You'd probably wish that there were more Easy E stories. The dudes that took a little bit of money, put it in something, and then made something happen. But it's like I guess the drug game is kind of like the fight game. Fighters stick around sometimes a little bit too long.
Yeah, and can I ask you something? Just and what really? How would you want to relate the stories? I mean, in which level? Because obviously, for 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 BMF and the black community and hip hop, it's like it's always out there, and but urban, I feel like we all come from inner cities, and we were doing
Yeah,
big things in our own way,
I'm basically taking it from where the comments have been coming from. It's they asked that question very vaguely and openly. You know what I'm saying? But to me, again, the same way there's levels to the game, there's levels to the approach on this. I believe that as far as numbers, stop it. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a
Mm-hmm.
conversation that nobody has to believe it or not. You know what I'm saying? The numbers are the numbers. Again, as far as influence goes, they are absolutely influential. I mean, if they weren't so influential, we wouldn't be having this conversation, and people wouldn't be asking about it as much as they have. Um,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
uh,
agree there. As far as the numbers, I'm gonna tell you something like this. Me being more understanding to what the game is and understanding who actually supplied them. There's just no competition. They could say whatever they want about how much keys they sold or what they did, but when it comes to the numbers, I mean,
and that's the
and
thing. I
what
don't
we
hear
were
it from
doing and
them.
who we were dealing with, it's just we were just on a different level. And by far, I will say, and I say this like not. I know it's gonna sound kind of like too cocky, but for sure, until now, from when we were there to today, I think my brother and I ran the most successful drug trafficking organization in the country, in the U.S. history. Just to make it clear, I just there's no one even close to us.
I mean, the indictment will say it all, man. If you think about it, my brother and I were the little dudes in my indictment with huge names. You know what I mean? I mean,
Yes, I
it's
think
weird that to have that out there. Like, yeah, you see your name, alongside all these other dudes, and sometimes it kind of even hits you. Like, it's just a crazy story, Because I was a
I,
kid in Chicago, hearing certain people's names, and they were always, like far on the distant, like, just
yeah, I
never
think that
imagined that we would be there.
for the diamond, just to let you know, the people we're actually dealing with and the people we're around with. I mean, in total, I think we could say that the Sinaloa cartel as a whole was pushing anywhere between, 30 to 50 tons,
Tons,
all right, guys, a month,
tons.
all right? And the fact that we were dealing with these people and there were like our associates and, it's just different. So again, when I say that, even us, we were probably a small part of a bigger picture. You know what I
Right.
mean? And I don't think that those names are going to be mentioned in those type of stories, right? And I do want to tell you, like I'm with 50 when we have this conversation. I will say this: I'm confident, and I think that our people are going to actually help accomplish this. Is that if everything works out the way it's been, going, that who's going to have the best, TV series? And I'm 100% confident that we will have probably the number one show that's going to be bigger than BMF, bigger than Power, and that's because it's the culture, right? It's our people. I think we bring, the Latin, Hispanic era, along with, what the culture is. I think I'm confident about that as well. It has been done, and I have to respect that they actually did it. They put the story on TV. I watch it, I keep up with it. It's gonna be a little bit different from theirs, but that's their story, and I'm a fan looking from afar, right?
I believe that there's so much room for so much with this story that the possibilities are endless, and you'd have to do some real hard work to mess it up. BMF's been successful, Power Universe been successful, Greenlight Gang as a whole has been successful. So I expect nothing. I expect nothing but exponential growth, and this is the story that can lead to that. I see years down the line of we're gonna be here a while doing after shows, y'all.
Man, I can't wait to see Chicago out there on the big screen, like in a real way. I'm excited about that, and tell that different side of the story. We see people in New York and all over the place, have their stories out. I
Right.
feel like it's our turn, that's for sure. And I see people in the comments. Jay, man, some dude named Traffic saying, "What's up?"
Traffic. Oh,
Yeah.
traffic. What up? I'm gonna tell you, I ran across a bunch of people that I was actually in prison with. Um, I hope they're all doing good, especially someone like Traffic. Shouts out to him and all those people I was in prison with, who I tried to mentor. And I told them that, what was coming, and I'm sure they're laughing about it right now. But um, I'm really looking forward to for sure putting chi on the map. I tell 50 all the time, this is not even just about Chi-Town, this is about the culture, right? About Hispanics, us getting a chance to put real people on TV where you don't have to watch Univision, Telemundo, right? And
Mm.
Shai, this goes out to you. You're acting. I'm thinking about what it can mean to actors just like you, inspiring actors, right? That we could actually put people who understand what it was to be born and raised in those type of environments, and actually being able to put them on the screen and tell real life stories. Like, hell yeah, it pisses me off when I see the Ozarks being number one, and they take a story from what, like, Mexican cartels, and they turn into this white America story, right? And it's
Mm.
like, yeah, that bothers me. You get me? I feel like, man, at least give us a chance to put a real story out there where Hispanics benefit in a way that it's not always getting the bad credit, right?
Mm.
Um, and that's what I'm about for sure.
Yeah, and be able to tell them intricate stories about how really the Latin culture, the Black culture do come together and make money, man. It's sad to see everybody fighting. Everybody's about themselves, and like I said before, the cartel don't work that way. When it's successful, it's because a bunch of people come together, to work for that one thing, that's to be successful, to make money. Now you see everyone wants to, be the man out there. Everybody's like, it feels like they want to be Tony Montana. It doesn't work that way. My brother and I always had an attitude of, building relationships, and bridges, and how could we, continue to make money. It was about the long term, playing the long game always. You know, no egos.
We're working on a documentary right now. I'm gonna tell you something. I respect the 50, right? Um, and he when it comes to business, he knows exactly what he's doing. Everything is happening for a reason, but for sure, we always talk about it. That I believe that our upcoming TV series is probably going to be the number one show. Is going to be bigger than Power, bigger than BMF, bigger than anything he has done. especially when it comes to the Latin community. And everyone that I feel like the audience for sure is gonna
Show up.
gravitate to it. And you said it plenty of times, right? Um, our life is stranger than fiction, right? You can't make this shit up. And 50 himself has stated plenty of times, like, look, I don't need someone to make anything up. I just need someone to tell the story. And I think that know, it's up to Hollywood and what 50 does, but I'm confident it's gonna actually happen. And I'm helpful that well, I'm actually just looking forward to the possibility of putting, Latin American artists, and actresses, actors on TV for an American told story, especially people like you, Shy, you know, people from Chicago that are for the culture, that are in acting, that our stories ain't gonna be told like we're some LA cholos or New York gangsters. Nah, I think that for Chicago we have our own. Uh, we're our own people. We have our own style, our own way of speaking, and I think that I want to put that in the map. I want to be able for Hispanics to actually be able to turn on TV and don't have to go to Telemundo or Univision, to see people that look like them. You know.
They said it, y'all. Bigger than power, bigger than BMF, bigger than all of that. See me, I be loving to have my opinion up on here and tell everybody how I feel about what shows are the best and who's doing the best jobs. But that should have keep me out of jobs. You know what I'm saying? So I keep my opinion to myself. I'm on my business. You know what I mean?
Well, I think you could be a great addition, man, to that show. And my brother and I be talking about it. If I could ask for one favor, shot, I might ask that they put you on, bro.
Hey, I appreciate that, man. I'll deliver. At the end of the day, I'll deliver. I won't make you look bad. I promise.
Hey, Shy, one thing I do want to hold you to, there's 50 people in here, and you got a bunch of following, that you ain't going to change up on us, man. When you make it to the big time, you ain't going to forget about the little dudes.
Papa, I've been hearing that. I've been hearing that, waiting to be the big timer for over 20 years. You know what I'm
Don't
saying?
imagine me trying to
Yeah,
hit Shy up like, hey, Shy, can I come on your show?
yeah,
Let my secretary get back to you.
yeah. I believe it's gonna happen, Shy, though, bro. Never give up, bro.
but
I
but
think
Mm.
everything happens for a reason. Uh, just to let you know, it's real, right? You keep going, and you know where life is gonna end up. And look at you after all these years. You did the music. I love your music too. I listened to it before every one of your lives and stuff like that, man. You never know. You know what lies ahead, and I really hope that I know you started this podcast, and I think that you acting and doing all that hopefully our story kind of opens up those lanes for you to be successful, and you um will continue to be doing good, bro. But I think that you found your calling, and I'm just thankful to be on your show.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, no, but that's the honest answer. The honest answer to that question is I've been hearing it for over 20 years, and I've been the same dude, and I'm a little calmer now. I have a little bit more patience than I had before, but
Mhm.
things don't really change much around here except that I don't quit. That's it.
Big
Yeah,
shout
you
out
want the
to
results to
them.
the poll? It's 96% to 4%. There was 53 votes. Good turnout on the votes. Salutes to
Yeah,
y'all.
I want to know what my brother's really what's his real thoughts
On the
on that.
BMF?
Yeah, but I think that's fair. I guess for those of you guys who actually know the story, but yeah.
Real thoughts. I thought P gave us his real thoughts though. P
Nah, I'm
he just
being
did your brother just line you up? P, is that what happened?
lately. I gotta check myself, but I just gotta, sometimes I gotta ask, what's the point of even going hard or saying anything when it's really not
Yeah,
even them? It's just the commenters or other
Right.
people. It goes like, they had a big case, and it goes from someone moving 500 birds here and there to fucking they moved 50 tons. You know what I mean? This exaggerated as numbers.
Right.
And
And
like
again, it's not like Big Meech is screaming out of his window, "We were bigger than the twins." It's
that
commenters,
I
it's
think
people in
it's
the
something
street.
he tries to insinuate that at times where I'm mentioning it, but um.
Really? Oh,
I
okay.
think they think keeping it real. He I think my sure I don't know him like that, but I think he would keep it real 100. And It
Because
doesn't take away from him.
we're definitely getting at the same time. Remember, I went on the run February of 2004. I just left Mexico with a massive indictment over my head. And so we were doing it around the same time,
Right.
and there's no slowdown of my business, that's for sure. And remember, we're getting to Chicago. We're getting for 15 a key. That was the cheapest they ever got. It wasn't gonna get no cheaper than that. Unless he's gonna tell me that they were making deals for tons or something, then maybe I'll take my place.
I always say this: the day that someone tells me that they were transporting their drugs in a submarine, then I have to listen. But until that day is, it's like you know, it's a
We
little
got
bit different.
right. Well, there's your answer, y'all. But here's my thing is I think that the television show, when it gets to that point, I think it's gonna be amazing. I think it's gonna be a big thing for y'all, a big thing for Latinos. I think it's gonna be you know it's gonna be must see TV. Like people are gonna
Yeah,
show up that night, like just the same way people. Because to me, if you ask me, out of all of the Power Universe, the Raising Canaan is the best one that they got right now. You know what I'm
yeah, for
saying?
sure. I want to say something. We talk about all the time. Is like for sure. I think that for 50 Cent, he has a big percentage of what it is, what the culture is, right? African Americans viewership for sure. And I always say like, look, man, we could bring 20% of Latin or Hispanic viewership, you know, to watch the show, which I feel like, eh, our show is we're at the end of the day, we're Hispanic, we're Mexican, right? Try and I think that uh,
If we
people
bring the
who,
Latin viewers, I
yeah,
mean, and support whether they hate you or not, like the way the
yeah,
African Americans support BMF, it's like,
yeah,
man, we can't lose. You know what I mean?
we have a number one worldwide show, and I think that it's not just about us don't like us, but it's about the culture, right? It's a bigger something bigger to bring Town back into and put a kind of like I really feel like it's about Little Village, it's about Town, it's about its entirety, about the culture, about Hispanics, about of what the future is for our people, right? It's about giving people like you, inspiring actors, opportunity and platform to be able to be on TV where you have the rest of Hollywood not taking from the story. You get me? There's nothing different. Why can't it be us now? We heard all this fucking Italian fucking shows, and 50 Cent says it all the time. Like, look, Martin Scorsese will be applauded to be bringing these gangster Italian movies or shows to TV. You know what I mean? But they're not the only ones. I think it's our time. I think that we have uh, the ability to have the number one show, and I think it's going to show by how we support it. And the sad part about this is that as Shy, our culture is like all about hate, and it's gonna be a little bit difficult, but I believe in it. I believe that I need those people who hate to come watch the show because that they're gonna be the ones that make a number one show, right? Because naturally, I think it's embedded in us, that we ourselves bring our own people down.
I think 50 got a way of riling people up too, so I think that'll help. He's gonna rally the troops. I think the people are gonna show up. I think again, we've said it 1,000 times. The story tells itself. It's stranger than fiction. I think it will be must see TV. People will be scheduled to sit their ass down and watch it, and I will be right here making sure I got the after
So
show and reacting to y'all lunatics in the chat.
I've been really into Mexican regional music. Fuerza Regida has to be one of my favorite groups. I was actually telling this to my brother that I really hope, and I told 50 about this, that I would love for JOP from Fuerza Regida to actually play us in a scripted TV series. I like his swag. I like that he's like, you know, American slash Spanish. He's hip. He's about that life. I love his music.
How do you feel, P? You feel like Buddy could play you,
No, I mean, like
JOP?
I said, yeah, he has the swag for it. He knows both sides. I mean, but I wish it was someone a little better looking. That's just my opinion. But
Nah,
look, I
nah,
want to
nah,
say
nah.
something.
I
Look,
think he's good looking. I
he,
think he's a good looking dude. So I will tell you this much, man. I really hope that we bring as many as Hispanic or Latin American culture to be able to come on the show. Everyone from people in the reggaeton genre to the Mexican regional music genre. I don't want it to be a fake fucking Narcos. You know, I want it to be authentic. I want it to be real. But I'm gonna tell you what it is. If we ever get the chance, 50 knows what it is, right? There's no competition, man. I really think that for everything that 50 is doing, man, amazing businessman, amazing executive producer. Like he's doing some great things, but I'm gonna put it on my shoulders, on my brother's shoulders, that I guarantee him that he's gonna have a number one hit show. And I think it's always about the story, like you said, right? It's not about who produces it, who acts in it. It's about making sure that we get the real story out there. And if we get the real story out there about our life and about what it is, then we're gonna have an amazing story to tell because you guys really ain't heard much, you know? You
Right.
guys heard 10-15% of what it was.
That shit is weird to even think about, bro.
He said, if you guys start from when you were kids, making it to Mexico won't be until season 2 or 3, so we'll be waiting. I'm gonna just give you some inside information. I'm gonna get in trouble for this though. 50 believes that it shouldn't be less than 8 seasons, and if everything works out, then season 3 will be 2 parts that will go into season 3 and 4. Because there's just too much shit, you know. To be honest, like,
But here's the thing. Here's where it's a trip. So if the show is 8 seasons and it starts somewhere and ends somewhere, the difference between your story and everyone else's is that you got a fucking a cartel Star Wars going on because you guys can go back and do a prequel after that. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, don't forget, we're unique because besides, there's two sides of it, right? There's us, there's the government, there's law enforcement, and then don't forget there's always, spin off into Valerie's story, right?
Yeah.
And the story keeps going right to this day. So um there's different avenues to what it could become. And I think 54 sees it, he has an idea, a vision, and I'm hoping that it gets done right. um but for sure, I honestly think that it's gonna be probably 1 or 2 seasons, 3 seasons of our show, and it'll be a spin-off right in between those seasons, right? What that spin-off is gonna be still up to what the audience thinks and what characters build off of that. But we have options, you know?
Let's hope this Kip don't blow up because Jay over here dropping exclusivos and shit.
Yeah,
Next thing you know,
we're
we'll
dropping
be on
exclusive.
50's
Uh,
Instagram and he'll be
uh,
like, "I want my money by Monday, man."
yeah, he wants his money by Monday. I'm a big shout out to him. I'm gonna tell you something. As a mogul, as a executive producer, man, he has a vision, far beyond
Oh, I
what we're
respect it.
seeing, what we're talking about today. He's already like past that. He's 4 or 5 seasons.
Yeah, because you think about it, man. Look at the stories, man. Both girls come from being daughters of Chicago police officers. We got a bunch of dirtbag ex-boyfriends, you know, niggas trying to rob us and steal and kidnappers. I mean, you name it, we had it. We have it.
Yeah, it's all in there.